येनाक्षरं पुरुषं वेद
येनाक्षरं पुरुषं वेद
सत्यं प्रोवाच
सत्यं प्रोवाच
तां तत्त्वतो ब्रह्मविद्याम्
तां तत्त्वतो ब्रह्मविद्याम्
तद्विज्ञानार्थम् स गुरुमेवाभिगच्छेत् समित्पाणिः
स गुरुमेवाभिगच्छेत् समित्पाणिः
श्रोत्रियं ब्रह्म निष्ठम्
श्रोत्रियं ब्रह्म निष्ठम्
यः सेतुरीजानानाम्
यः सेतुरीजानानाम्
अक्षरं ब्रह्म यत्परम्
अक्षरं ब्रह्म यत्परम्
यस्य देवे परा भक्तिर्
यस्य देवे परा भक्तिर्
यथा देवे तथा गुरौ
यथा देवे तथा गुरौ
तस्यैते कथिता ह्यर्थाः
तस्यैते कथिता ह्यर्थाः
प्रकाशन्ते महात्मनः
प्रकाशन्ते महात्मनः
ॐ
પ્રમુખ સ્વામી મહારાજ સર્વોપરી ભગવાનના સર્વોપરી સંત હતા.
प्रमुख स्वामी सुखकारी ये संत परम हितकारी.
गाथा महापुरुषिणी संत परम हितकारिणी गाथा महापुरुषिणी संत परम हितकारिणी
महापुरुषनी आछे कथा प्रमुख सुखकारी.
Sanskrit, the mother of all languages, dates back over 15,000 years. It is the language of the sacred Vedas, the language that attempts to describe the endless glory of God across an overwhelming number of ancient Hindu texts. In-depth reading and studying of Vedic Sanskrit was the challenge put forward by Shastriji Maharaj to the newly initiated Narayan Swarup Das. His journey of a Shastri in the making would begin at Gondal Mandir.
When Swami Shri was in Gondal, he started reading Sanskrit through a Pandit named Jivram, who taught two subjects. One was Shabda Rupavali and the other one was Raghuvansh Mahakavya.
The Shabda Rupavali is a small book which contains different Sanskrit words in a table format. Imagine a different leader word on the top of each page and 3 vertical columns. One column describes the singular version, one column in the middle is the double version, and the third column is the plural version of the word. And there are 8 rows for 8 different cases. So in total, you have 24 different ways that you have to memorize each word. And there's hundreds of words like this. So that was one book that Swami has started to study. He also started studying the Raghuvansh, which is a long book on the history of Ram Bhagwan's ancestors. Jivram Shastri would come to the mandir daily at 10 a.m. and teach from 10 a.m. to 11:30. And afterwards, Swami would go for Rajbhog Aarti. In the afternoon, before Thakurji would wake up, Swami would also go to do Pradakshinas in the Akshaderi. After darshan of Thakurji, he would go to revise his classwork and then he would go to Sandhya Aarti. Now at that time in Gondal, there were only 6 or 7 sadhus living in the mandir. And there was one senior son named Akshar Swarup Swami, who was the all-in-one Kothari, Bhandari, Pujari. He was doing so many different sevas. And as many of you may have experienced, Gondal is also Machar Dham. There's so many mosquitoes that santos would regularly fall sick with different diseases.
So it was quite a challenge to run such a big mandir with so few people. Therefore, along with his studies, Swami Shri would also engage in a variety of sevas, from preparing and serving food to working on the construction site. He was always happy and willing to extend a helping hand whenever and wherever there was a need. That was his way of life. Kothari Akshar Swarupdas Swami, the head of the mandir, was so impressed by Swami Shri's devotion and dedication that it was no surprise he entrusted him with the responsibility of Thakurji's seva. Now, this involved a set of rituals and offerings from very early in the morning till late at night. But Swami Shri fulfilled this seva single-handedly and with a great sense of enthusiasm.
The funny situation in Gondal is that Ghanshyam Maharaj's murti is quite tall, and Swami in his young age was very short, almost too short to do seva properly. So Swami would actually get a small table, put it in front of Ghanshyam Maharaj's murti, climb on top of the table, stand on that, and then change Ghanshyam Maharaj's clothes, offer him thar, etc. That's how he did seva of Ghanshyam Maharaj in Gondal.
During his time in Gondal, Swami Shri was fully engrossed either in his studies or seva, but his mind was always fixed on Shastriji Maharaj, ruminating his divine incidents and interactions all day long. Despite such oneness with Shastriji Maharaj, Swami Shri was still longing to have his darshan and to join him on his travels so that he could be closer to him. Every second or third day, he received a letter from Shastriji Maharaj, which he read eagerly and replied straight away. Thus, the Guru also kept in touch with his young budding disciple. Nevertheless, Swami Shri still craved to meet Shastriji Maharaj in person.
એટલે એક બ્રહ્મણામાં સૂતો હતો અને પછી એકદમ જાગ્યો, નાહ્યો ધોયો, પૂજા કરતા ને એમાં કોકે કહ્યું શાસ્ત્રીમાં જાય. એટલે શાસ્ત્રીમાં જાય એટલે મેં પૂજા મૂકીને પછી હું તો દોડ્યો કે આયા એ લોકો.
Now at that time, there was a train that would bring people close to Gondal, and that train would arrive at 4:15 in the morning. Swami was doing his puja at the time, and Swami assumed that Shastriji Maharaj must have come on that 4:15 a.m. train and has just arrived into the mandir. Swami ran towards the mandir and he saw someone in the campus and he asked, "Where is Shastriji Maharaj?" That person said, "He must be upstairs in the mandir doing darshan."
હું દોડીને પગથિયાં ચડીને ઉપર ઘનશ્યામ મહારાજ પોઢેલા હતા. તો મેં જસવાના કર્યો, પગે લાગ્યો.
ક્યાં પોઢેલા?
ત્યાં પલંગમાં જ ત્યાં આપણે ઘનશ્યામની મૂર્તિ છે, ત્યાં જ પલંગ, એટલે સુખ સજ્જા બાજુમાં હતી પણ મને ત્યાં જ દેખાયા. એમાં હૂતેલા હતા. એટલે એકદમ મેં પૂછ્યું એટલે ઊભા થયા અને ઘનશ્યામ મહારાજ, અને ઘનશ્યામને પૂછ્યું, મૂકું કે શાસ્ત્રી મહારાજ છે? તો કે શાસ્ત્રી મહારાજ તો નીચે ગયા. એટલે હું પછી નીચે દોડ્યો.
Obviously, it would be amazing for us to witness such divine darshan, but Swami Shri was unfazed. He had only one thing on his mind, and that was Shastriji Maharaj. So not waiting for a moment, Swami Shri scurried down, and first he went to the Aksharderi and then all around the Sant Ashram, but he could not find Shastriji Maharaj anywhere. Just then he heard someone say, "Shastriji Maharaj has gone for darshan in the mandir." So once again, Swami Shri darted up the steps and checked in the Pradakshina to see if Shastriji Maharaj was there. But there was no sign of him. So Swami Shri went inside the mandir. Now this time, he had the divine darshan of Ghanshyam Maharaj in the Sukh Sanya Sihasan. Ghanshyam Maharaj was sitting on the cot with his legs dangling, and Shastriji Maharaj was standing beside him. Swami Shri was amazed to see such a divine darshan, the divine duo of God and Guru together. He could barely speak, but Shastriji Maharaj placed his hands on his head and Ghanshyam Maharaj also blessed him.
ત્યાં થોડીક વાર થઈ એટલે એવું આમ પ્રકાશ આપણે આ મૂર્તિઓ તમે કરો છો એક ભેગું થઈ જાય, તે બે એક થઈ ગયું એટલે અદ્રશ્ય જેવું થઈ ગયા. સ્વામી અને ઘનશ્યામ મહારાજ એકલા બેઠેલા. પછી મને કહું આ તો દર્શન થયા નહીં ને શું થયું ને એટલે પછી ઘનશ્યામ મહારાજ પગે લાગે પછી હું ગયો ઘનશ્યામ મહારાજ દર્શન થઈ ગયા ને સારું થયું એટલે એમને બોલ્યા નહીં પણ મને એમ થયું કે સંતોષ થયો સ્વામીજી મહારાજ એમાં સમય ગયા ને થઈ ગયું એટલે પછી હું નથી.
Now, decades after this prasang had taken place, in the context of this incident, someone once asked Swami that Shriji Maharaj himself was there. So why did you run away and go downstairs? Swami replied, I didn't run away. I had so much love for Shastriji Maharaj. I had full faith that Bhagwan was there present in my Guru. I was young, but I had so much love for him, and that's why I ran. I ran looking for him when I heard his name.
Swami Shri's reply is filled with two things: his parabhakti for God and his Guru Bhakti towards his Guru, Shastriji Maharaj. We can see this, his profound devotion together with his sublime spirit of love and obedience towards his Guru.
After a short spell at Gondal, Narayan Swarup Das spent time with Guru Shastriji Maharaj in travels. During this period, Shastriji Maharaj instructed Narayan Swarup Das to pursue further Sanskrit studies in Bhadran.
After keeping young Narayan Swarup Swami with him for a while, Shastriji Maharaj instructed him to stay in Bhadran and pursue his Sanskrit studies there. For that, Shastriji Maharaj himself came to Bhadran to drop him off. It was like a loving, protective parent, who would drop off their child on the first day of school.
And there they studied the text known as Raghuvansh. Swami's teacher at this time in Bhadran was a Guruji called Vithalram Sastri. He would teach the sadhus for almost 2 hours every single day. And Bappa in his later years would often talk about this Vithalram Sastri, about his qualities. Bappa would say that Vithalram Sastri was a very good person. He was cheerful, very jolly, and he would say the shloks, explain them to us in a very easy way, and also making learning fun. And he would be very patient. If any of us asked any questions, he would also answer those questions Shantiti. And he spoke in such a way that we would actually enjoy learning those shloks and that we could easily memorize them. During this time in Bhadran, with Swami Shri was also another young sadhu, just slightly older than Bappa. His name was Akshar Jivan Das. And there was a brahmachari, his name was Purushothamanand Brahmachari. And there was a sadhu called Hari Swarup Das.
Shastriji Maharaj had told Swami Shri that I will take care of your tuition fees and your accommodation, but you will have to beg for alms in order to sustain yourself. And so Swami Shri and Akshar Jivan Das Swami would beg for alms every 15 days. Hari Swarup Das never joined Swami Shri in begging for alms.
He was a bit of a character. He would never help with the cooking or cleaning or anything else. He found that all a bit beneath him. He had his own sevak to attend to his needs, and generally just dressed and behaved rather royally. He even had a chhatri, like an umbrella or canopy over him when he walked. If his attendant wasn't around, Swami Shri would hold that umbrella for him. To make things worse, Hari Swarup Das insisted that he stay alone on the upper floor of their small flat. The rest had to cram themselves on the ground floor. Now, naturally, as you can imagine, this rather annoyed the other sadhus. Like, why should he get special treatment, or why aren't we allowed on the upper floor? But Swami Shri was ever the negotiator. Even then, he had this ability to diffuse any situation before it could escalate into a quarrel. He would help the others understand that it really wasn't worth the strife. He told them, look, does it really matter that much if you live on the upper floor or the ground floor? Let's just be peaceful here on the ground floor.
So from the beginning, Swami Shri was always very compromising, avoiding conflict, and Bappa's unique nature kept everyone together. Despite being the youngest, he was the wisest.
Swami Shri was once asked that you were the youngest among the group, yet you inspired harmony and solidarity amongst the other Swamis. Did you have such sentiments of solidarity and peace from the beginning? Swami Shri replied, by doing others' seva, all problems are solved. The two of them, that is Hari Swarup Das Ji and Purushothamanand Brahmachari, never went out to fill the water pots. Akshar Jivan Das Swami and I, that is Swami Shri, would fill the water pots. Swami Shri also described that they would also wash the pots and pans after preparing the meals. When they never wished to do such things, it was better that we did the chores rather than insist and quarrel with them. So Swami Shri's attitude had always been one of solving problems and situations rather than arguing or creating conflicts. Because of Swami Shri's proactive nature, he touched the hearts of seniors in spite of him being the youngest amongst them all. In this way, Swami Shri, the young Swami Shri, cared for and looked after everyone studying in Bhadran.
While studying in Bhadran, begging for their food was a regular part of their life. So twice a month, they would go out to the homes of satsangis, asking if they could give any rations for their meals. The companion would change. It was mostly Akshar Jivan Das, sometimes the Brahmachari. But Swami Shri would be fixed. He would always go. From a young age, he was always happy to shoulder the burden for others. For him, in the joy of others lies our own. That wasn't just a slogan he developed or learnt about later in life. That was his ethos. It was his innate spirit for his entire life.
And the devotees of Bhadran, they were very loving, affectionate, very generous. So the devotees would give generously as well. They would also accompany the sadhus whenever they went to ask for jodi.
Daya Bhai, Soma Bhai, Thakur Bhai, they were all very dedicated Hari Bhaktas of Shastri Maharaj and would happily give plenty for these young sadhus and these young students. Sometimes it would be too much and Swami Shri would send the extra amounts to Bochasan. Sometimes the giver of the alms would be Mailas, the wives or the mothers of the Hari Bhaktas. So there the Yuvaks and Hari Bhaktas who would be accompanying the sadhus, they would go in and they would collect the alms instead.
There were other people as well in the village who were quite familiar with these sadhus and quite impressed as well. So there was a Vedanti by the name of Purushottam Bhai. He was not a satsangi, but he also lived in Bhadran. He would send raw foodstuffs for the sadhus every 15 days. And sometimes he himself would actually bring that food to the sadhus and he would tell them that if you do need anything else, let us know. And so Swami Shri, in the rite of a Swaminarayan sadhu, would go to the streets and then hail Swaminarayan Hare Satchidananda Prabhu. And in this way, the villagers would donate according to their means.
2 or 3 persons in the village would often taunt Swami Shri. They would tease Swami Shri. And they would more or less criticize him and say that why don't you earn your bread with sweat and toil? Why do you beg to fill your stomachs? Swami Shri did not pay any heed to those insulting words of those who opposed him.
So in this way, every fortnight, Swami Shri would go out begging for alms, just so that he and his classmates could eat. It was a tough life for a young sadhu. But the Hari Bhaktas of Bhadran were always very warm and generous. They too had become very fond of young Narayan Swarup Das. Swami Shri would often affectionately say that Bhadran to Suvanga Maruche, the whole of Bhadran is mine.
I remember when Bappa came to London in 2007, on the first day in the Sabha was C.B. Patel, the editor of Asian Voice Gujarat Samachar, and his Murgam is Bhadran. So Bappa remembered his time in Bhadran in great detail because his father and his grandfather, Bappa had known them from his time in Bhadran. In 1990, when Bappa was in London, he made it a point to go to the funeral, the Antim Vidhi of Jai Kishan Bhai. Jai Kishan Bhai was also from Bhadran, so Bappa also knew that family very well. So these were the Hari Bhaktas who supported Shastriji Maharaj at that time and would look after these young sadhus who were studying in Bhadran.
In this way, among this small cohort of students in Bhadran, Swami Shri cared for and looked after everyone. Swami Shri himself was still a very young sadhu, but it says a lot about his maturity and eagerness to help everyone, that despite all these early difficulties, he not only remained upbeat and studious, he also ensured that everyone around him enjoyed their studies and their time together. His natural aura always kept the atmosphere light and positive.
In Bhadran, there was a Parshad, his name was Ambaram Bhagat. He was a very devout Parshad.
He hailed from the town of Kadi in the northern part of Gujarat. All day he did seva and he sang kirtans. He delivered very good spiritual discourses. He was devout. He was also staunch in his niyam and dharma. And he was detached from all worldly things. His life was pure, like that of the Paramahansas of Bhagavan Swami Narayan.
And he looked after these sadhus very well. And more importantly, he also ensured that these sadhus, because they were quite young, and he didn't want them to waver in their beliefs. Because what had happened sometime before in Bhadran, there was a devotee by the name of Purushottam, Bhadrana Purushottam, who had actually served Bhagatji Maharaj. But then he went astray and took some disciples with him. So Ambaram Bhagat, he made sure that our Nishta is pure and never go to that place.
It so happened that once Kunj Vihari Das Swami and Khoda Bhagat came from the Vartal Mandir to stay at the Mandir, Hari Mandir in Bhadran. They stayed on the first floor of the Mandir. They would often call the young Narayan Sarup Das and Akshara Jivan Das Swami and give them magas and snacks to eat. During these moments, Khoda Bhagat would tactfully say that Swami Kunj Vihari Das is a good sadhu. Come with us to Vartal. There you will get good food to eat. Whereas here you do not get proper food to eat, nor do you get good living conditions.
And it was true, these young sadhus were literally having to beg for their food. But of course, they were never going to leave Shastriji Maharaj. Ambaram Bhagat was still worried. He would scold them. He said, don't go up to his room. Don't listen to him. He'll poison you. So Akshara Jivan Das Swami, just to play around with Ambaram Bhagat, would tease him and tell him, look, I don't have a problem. I am happy here and I have no intent of going anywhere else. But this Naranda, he could be entertaining the thought. And this would get Ambaram really wound up. He would be worried that he would lose Swami Shri, and he just couldn't bear that thought. When Swami Shri heard about this, all this jest, he went to Ambaram and told him, look, this is Akshara Jivan Das Swami just messing with you. It's just a joke. I have no intention whatsoever of ever leaving Shastriji Maharaj, even if I was offered all the riches in the world. Ambaram released a deep sigh of relief, and they all had a big chuckle together.
In this way, they studied in Bhadran for about 6 to 7 months, and Bappa studied the Raghuvansh and other Sanskrit texts. And those texts, even in his later years, Bappa would often quote from the Raghuvansh in his discourses.
After 8 months in Bhadran, Narayan Swarup Das faced a further 8 months of studies in Khambhat. An impetuous Niran Mukta Das would be introduced into Narayan Swarup Das' study group, with classes being led by the fiery Bhai Narayan Shastri.
While he was in Khambhat, there were 3 other people with him. One was Akshar Jivan Swami, another was named Purushottam Anand Brahmachari, and the third was a sadhu by the name of Niran Mukta Swami from an entirely separate organization. Now these Santo were going to stay in Khambhat and study a version of traditional Sanskrit grammar called Kaumudi.
Sastriji Maharaj again had made all the arrangements in Khambat with Kodabai Master, and there was also a Daneshwar Maharaj, and they would look after the sadhus. They would also arrange for the fee to pay to their teacher, Pandit Bhai Narayan Sastri.
But he instructed the students, he said, you will have to take care of your daily food requirements by collecting alms and cook for yourselves. The underlying reason behind such an arrangement was that the students would bond together with a spirit of unity and cooperation, where, along with their studies, they would also learn how to become self-sufficient in life. But it was not as simple as that. Niran Mukta Das, for instance, was a very difficult person to deal with.
Niran Mukta Swami by nature was very Rajoguni and very arrogant, very proud. He told the group that I won't ask for alms because it's embarrassing to me. Now, if anyone forced him to go as Jord, then he wouldn't say the Narayan Hare or the Sachidanand Prabhu, either half, and he would just stay quietly standing out of sight. So if Swami Shri was going with Niran Mukta Swami to ask for bhiksha, to ask for alms, Swami would have to do twice the work because he was alone. Niran Mukta Swami never helped in anything. He never helped in asking for the grains, nor did he ever help in preparing the meals. But there was one thing he was always ready to help with, and that was eating the lion's share of the food and then complaining about it afterwards. He would always have some criticism about how to make the food or what different items to make.
And therefore, him and the brahmachari, they would always be at odds with each other. And so the brahmachari would say, okay, look, you help prepare the food. You help prepare the raw materials, then I'll cook the food. And Niran Mukta Das would say, okay, look, I've come here to study. I've not come here to cook. I will not help you. And so the brahmachari would say, okay then, I'm not going to make anything apart from bhakri and shak.
Niran Mukta Swami got angry hearing this. So the two were about to argue, but seeing the fiasco, Swami decided that he would do whatever it takes to increase the sum and retain the peace.
He was able to keep the situation under control even in difficult circumstances. A leader is one who goes out of his or her way to sacrifice for others without expecting anything in return.
Swami said, I'll take care of everything. Don't worry. Everyone is here to study, so everyone should have something good to eat. So I will prepare everything. And the brahmachari, all you have to do is prepare the food. And when Swami said that he would prepare everything, he meant everything.
Swami Shri and Akshajivan Das went that extra mile to do all the tasks that were necessary for brahmachari to cook quickly and efficiently.
Swami and Akshajivan Swami would cut all the vegetables, draw and filter the water, clean the utensils, clean the flour, clean the rice, prepare the firewood, get everything ready to the point where only thing brahmachari had to do was the vagar at the end. And then Swami would help the brahmachari make the rotlis. He would prepare Thakurji's thad and he would offer the thad. And despite all the work being done for him, Niran Mukta Swami would still complain about the food. The bhakri is too thick and the dal is too thin. Purushottam Anand Brahmachari would hear the criticisms about his food and get angry at Niran Mukta Swami. And Swami would always be there in the middle, trying to maintain the peace between two warring countries. Last, after everyone eats, who washes the dishes? They asked Niran Mukta Swami to help, but obviously, very naturally, to his nature, he said, no. Am I a laborer that I would wash the dishes? So Swami took care of that as well.
In those days, groundwater had to be accessed from the village water well. But the problem was that many women occupied that area during daytime. It was impossible for sadhus to maintain their strict vow of celibacy in such a situation, but Swami Shri found a way. He, along with Akshajivan Das, decided to fetch the water at night when no one was using the water well. And they did this every night and brought enough water that was needed for the day. Furthermore, every 15 days, Swami Shri and Akshajivan Das would visit the nearby villages of Nar and Tarapur to collect extra alms that were needed to sustain the group.
હું પણ ભણતો હતો અને ખંભાતમાં ભાદરણમાં ત્યાં દર રવિવાર એકાદશી દિવસે જોરી માગવા જઈએ અને ભણાઈ જાય તો ત્યાં ના એને આવે કેવી રીતે અમારે જોરી ત્યાં જઈને બોલવાનું શું હતું એ તે પહેલેથી જ મારા વખતે જે છે એનું ઉચ્ચારણ એવી રીતે થતું હતું શું કહેતા હતા કે પહેલાં ત્યાં ફરિયામાં ઊભા રહે ફરિયામાં પછી 10-15 ઘરો હોય એટલે પેલા સાધ્યના હોય ત્યાં બધું તૈયાર કરેલું લઈ આવે. પણ પહેલું એ કરતા જયાતાની સાથે અમારે બોલવાનું એટલે સંતો આવ્યા છે એવું ખબર પડે. તે બોલાવને કઈ રીતે સ્વામિનારાયણ હરે સચ્ચિદાનંદ પ્રભુ. પછી મારી સાથે અમારી સાથે હોય ને એ બોલવાનું. વિવેક સાગરને કહ્યું બ્રાહ્મણ ગામમાં લઈ ગયો. વિવેક સાગર છે એમને માગેલું નથી કે મને નહીં ફાવે. એમને કોઈ ચાલો તો ખરા, આ તો બધું જોવું. એટલે બ્રાહ્મણ ગામમાં લઈ ગયા એવું બોલવું જોઈએ. પણ એમાં બોલતા થઈ ગયા અને તાર વાતો કરતા થઈ ગયા. એટલે કહેવાનું છે કે બીજા પાછા જડે હોય એને બોલવાનું, બેને પેલા બોલી રહ્યા પછી બોલો સ્વામિનારાયણ હરે સચ્ચિદાનંદ પ્રભુ. સ્વામી બોલે એટલે આજુબાજુ બધા જે ગામમાં અને ફરિયામાં હોય એ આવે.
The devotees were very generous and in this way look after the sadhus. Again, Swami Shri's demeanor was such that even those who were not satsangis would be quite willing to help the sadhus. There was a Rasik Bhai Javeri that Bapa sometimes talked about. Although he was not a satsangi, he was very affectionate. And he would come and see Swami Shri every single evening and ask him, okay, do you want anything? And if the sadhus did require anything, then he would arrange for that. So apart from studies and seva in Khambat and the resolution of the issues that would sometimes arise, there was also another factor that Bapa had to deal with when he was in Khambat. That was their teacher. The teacher in Bhadran, Vittaldas Sastri, was a great teacher, good-humored, and the sadhus learnt a lot from him. The teacher in Khambat was a little different. He was very strict and also very quick to get annoyed.
Bhai Narayan was the type of teacher who would come prepared with the day's lesson. But as is typical in Sanskrit learning, it's very one-directional. The teacher speaks for 1 hour straight, and you just write down everything word for word. You have to figure it out afterwards in your room or at your table. Some teachers are nice that after their 1 hour straight pravachan speech, they'll let you ask questions. Some don't even allow that. But if you ask a question in the middle of their speech and you break their train of thought, then you can be in for trouble. Now also remember, this is the era when writing things on chalkboards and explaining them slowly, piece by piece, wasn't common.
The problem was that Niran Muktadas failed to grasp many of the concepts that were being taught. So every now and again, he kept asking questions. Pandit Bhai Narayan Shastri, the teacher, did not like anyone asking questions. But Niran Muktadas persisted with more and more questions, which would upset the teacher. This continued for a few days. So one day, the teacher erupted.
And he said that none of you deserve to be taught. I come here to teach you. I prepare for what? Almost 2 hours. And then I come to teach you. And you ask me one question. And everything goes awry. And with this statement, the teacher, he threatened to stop teaching. And he said that now he would leave the class. And Swami Shri would then go to the teacher. This would happen on many occasions. Swami Shri would bow down to him. Papa would touch his feet. And Swami Shri would ask for forgiveness. Sometimes he would even do danvats to him. And then he would convince him that please, 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 teach us. So this went on for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Once a letter arrived from Sastriji Maharaj. And in that letter, Sastriji Maharaj had written, okay, you should learn this from your teacher. And Sastriji Maharaj had written a few suggestions. So obviously, the sadhus, they showed this letter to the teacher.
Bhai Narayan looked at the letter and said, Shastriji Maharaj is right in his own way, but I'm going to teach you whatever I feel you should learn. The Santo said, look, we want to learn whatever Shastriji Maharaj wants us to learn. And that's our dharma as a disciple. Bhai Narayan heard this and he got angry. He stormed off. Swami Shri had to go after him again, ask his forgiveness, and convince him to come back. All in all, this lasted for 8 months. But despite this Bermuda Triangle of highly inflammable teacher, a lazy and instigating fellow student, and all the physical tasks that Swami Shri had to accomplish, Swami Shri never drowned in any of it.
But he always responded gently and maturely, helping to instill a sense of calm and unity. Once, someone asked Swami Shri about his days in Khambhat. Swami Shri, it seemed that you embraced difficulties because in the end, you had to do everything on your own. Wasn't that a bit frustrating? Swami Shri replied, no, never. We were studying because of Shastriji Maharaj's wish. It was his agna. So there was never any question of frustration. Once you understand and accept a person's nature, there are no issues and there is no reason to get annoyed. You just move on. That statement really defines Swami Shri and how he went about his life.
So in this way, in Khambhat, Swami Shri not only undertook his studies, but he persevered in his studies. Not only that, he excelled in his studies despite the difficult circumstances. Just as in Bhadran, when Shastriji Maharaj would visit the sadhus every 15 to 20 days, again Shastriji Maharaj would visit Khambhat quite often as well to spend time with the sadhus. And Shastriji Maharaj would stay at Korabai Master's house. Once when Shastriji Maharaj was in Khambhat, it was a day of fasting, and so the sadhus had nothing to eat all day, not even water. In the evening, Korabai Master, he asked Shastriji Maharaj, okay, all of you are fasting today, so what shall we make for you tomorrow?
Shastriji Maharaj replied casually. He said the sadhus will not eat anything else after fasting, but they will only eat mug. Now these are small round green beans which are boiled to make them soft, and normally they are eaten after a fast. In Gujarati, Shastriji Maharaj said, Nirjada upwas pachi parnama santo magaj khai. So when he said this, to the devotee that sounded like magas, which is a traditional sweet dish typically made from gram flour or chickpea flour, added with sugar and ghee. So he therefore innocently prepared the magas early in the morning and he served the sadhus. Shastriji Maharaj was surprised how his words were misunderstood, but they all had a great big laugh and in the end they did enjoy the sweet magas.
Shastriji Maharaj's eagerness in taking Narayan Swarup Das to the next level in his Sanskrit studies was growing stronger. After Bhadran and Khambhat, he arranged for Narayan Swarup Das to continue further studies in Ahmedabad, where he would meet Girija Shankar Shastri.
Now, with young Narayan Swarup Swami, Shastriji Maharaj was like a doting father. He wanted to ensure that he got the best education possible. So, to make sure of that Girija Shankar was teaching him properly, Shastriji Maharaj joined Swami Shri for his first class. Only when he was satisfied with the teacher did Shastriji Maharaj leave.
Shastriji Maharaj praised Girija Shankar's style of teaching. And Shastriji Maharaj used to say that his style is that of my own guru, Rangacharya. Studying with Swami Shri in Ahmedabad were Purushottam Brahmachari and Akshar Jivan Das Swami. But it so happened that Akshar Jivan Das Swami found the grammar studies very difficult. So he joined Shastriji Maharaj in his Vicharan.
So now that left just Swami Shri and Purushottam Brahmachari. Swami Shri had left Hari Vallabh Das to look after the two young students and also told the local Hari Bhaktas in Ahmedabad, Hari Bhaktas like Babu Bhai, to make sure that Swami Shri and the Brahmachari were well looked after.
Girija Shankar Shastri taught a text in Sanskrit grammar called Lagu Siddhant Kaumudi. Girija Shankar had great patience. He had immense patience. Whenever a student asked him, even 10 times, Girija Shankar Shastri would patiently teach them and resolve their inquiries. He never got upset, or neither did he get angry.
Swami Shri was always very studious and hardworking, so he picked up everything very fast. This Brahmachari, he just wasn't getting it. He was always lost in class. The teacher would patiently repeat it just for him, taking up Swami Shri's time as well. But even then, after the class, the brahmachari would ask Swami Shri. So Swami Shri would explain to him again, once more. The truth was, the brahmachari was just plain lazy. He just wasn't interested in studying, and so he never revised or did any of the homework. Swami Shri never let his classmates' laziness rub off on him. He continued to study just as hard and still tried to help him.
Along with his studies, Swami Shri also remained engaged in devotion and doing bhajan. Every Ekadashi, he would walk with his companion Sadhu all the way to the Swaminarayan Mandir in Kalupur and do darshan. About 3 times a week, Swami Shri would also walk all the way to the banks of the Sabarmati river. There he would take a bath in the river and then sit casually on the banks.
In this way, Swami Shri would pass his time in Ahmedabad in his studies, in devotion, and in contemplation.
A typical Shastri education can span up to 7 years. But due to Narayan Swarup Das's intelligence and capabilities, Shastriji Maharaj started proclaiming Narayan Swarup Das as Shastri within just 2 years. He was sending a clear message of Narayan Swarup Das's potential to all those around him.
Eventually, Swami Shri was guided by Shastriji Maharaj to give up his studies and handle all of the responsibilities of Sarangpur Mandir full-time. He was made Sarangpur Mandir's administrator, or as we say in Gujarati, he was made the Kothari.
Swami Shri's correspondences increased with Shastriji Maharaj. Whenever Shastriji Maharaj replied to Swami Shri, he always addressed him as Shastri Narayan Swarup Das. Swami Shri felt it was inappropriate to be addressed as Shastri because he had not completed his studies. So he once told Shastriji Maharaj that, Swami, I have not become a Shastri, and yet you address me as Shastri.
And Shastriji Maharaj replied very naturally, very casually. Shastriji Maharaj said that anyone who starts studying Kaumudi is good enough to be a Shastri. So to me, you're a Shastri. And in this way, Swami Shri, Narayan Swarup Das, earned that degree of Shastri that stayed with him for the rest of his life. He got that degree from the only person who mattered to him, his Guru.
And so, in this way, the Shastri accreditation in Narayan Swarup Das's name was here to stay. This accolade from his Guru meant that from now on, every handwritten letter, instruction or blessing would be signed off by him as Shastri Narayan Swarup Das for the rest of his life. In the next episode, we follow the remarkable relationship between Shastri Narayan Swarup Das and his Guru Shastriji Maharaj. Breathtaking moments of unflinching faith and unwavering love towards one another would in time be testament to a relationship that will be spoken about for generations to come. Were there any limits to Narayan Swarup Das's Guru Bhakti towards Shastriji Maharaj? Join us next time for episode 4, Tvameva Mata.
મને તો એમ જ થયા કરે છે કે આપણા કેવા ભાગ્યનો પાર આવે એમ નથી કે પ્રમુખ સ્વામી જેવા ગુરુનો યોગ થયો. તેઓએ આપણને સૌને નિહાલ કર્યા છે. એ અનુભવ આ જીવન ચરિત્ર વાંચતા વિશેષ દૃઢ થશે. આ વાંચતા ખૂબ જ આનંદ થશે. સ્વામી બાપા નજર આગળ તરવરવા લાગશે.
कैसा जादू आप मिले ओ स्वामी, कैसा जादू आप मिले स्वामी हम पे किया, हर खुशी से हमारा जीवन भर दिया स्वामी, भर दिया. दिल में तेरे लिए कुर्बानी रहे प्रमुख स्वामी, तुम्हारी कहानी रहे जब तक धरती पे सूरज की रोशनी रहे, ये सितारे और चांद की वो चांदनी रहे। प्रमुख स्वामी तुम्हारी कहानी रहे, प्रमुख स्वामी तुम्हारी